was invited to speak on the news. This was probably 2 years ago, and I was so terrified. And after it, I did such an incredible job. And I also think it's important to visualize yourself doing an incredible job speaking. So I would visualize myself after the entire event, or for example, I think the main advice would be you don't have to be defined by the circumstances and what you went through. You can absolutely change your life. It's knowing that you want more for yourself. It's knowing that you don't have to live the same life, and you can take steps and you can meet new people and you can learn new information that's ultimately going to get you to where you want to be. So I've experienced so many challenges in my life. I would say the biggest one is self-doubt and not feeling worthy or good enough because of the environment that I was brought up in. My father was an alcoholic. He was very toxic, and my mother was just really passive. So I didn't see a caring, loving, supporting relationship growing up. And so I had to unlearn all of those things when I was in my 20s to realize that I don't have to believe those things that was my parents would project on me, and I don't have to live the way they live. And so it was really retraining my mind to have a belief system and have self-confidence to know that I can do, be, or have anything I want in my life. And it's just learning from people who have what you want. And so I think that was the biggest thing for me, rewiring my subconscious beliefs to know that I can have what I truly desire. And then I just think also it's facing your fears head on. And your fears, I think if you're not experiencing challenges, you're not growing at all, right? If you're staying stagnant, you're staying in your comfort zone, you don't have many problems. And the more success that you gain, the more problems, bigger problems you're going to have to solve. But that just makes you more valuable, the wisdom that you hold, and you're able to help more people. So I would definitely say for me, it was really mindset, and then stepping into my fears and just going face first, head forth into the experiences and challenge that I do face today.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the new episode of Professionals Unplugged. I'm your host, Utkarsh Shukla, and today we have Samantha with us. Samantha, thank you so much for joining in.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Thank you so much, Samantha. So let's start with a very basic question. Can you please introduce our audience to yourself, like who you are, what work you do, anything you want us to know about you?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much, but just to start off, I used to be a teacher for over 10 years. So I have my bachelor's in elementary education and my master's in teacher leadership. And I felt like I wanted to make a bigger impact on the world. And at that point, when I was teaching, I started a network marketing business. So I was introduced to building a team, stepping into a leadership role, what sales looks like, and how to cultivate a really good culture within my community, and learning how to speak. I mean, I was always so terrified of public speaking. And for your audience listening to this, the one way to, disseminate all of your fears is to just go through them and to actually show up and do the really hard thing, because it becomes a lot easier. So that's when I started speaking on a bunch of calls, and then that's where my podcast started as well. I was going to a bunch of networking events and meeting some very, very inspirational people who have built, multi-8-figure businesses. And I was so inspired by just the community that they built. And I always tell my team that, money is amazing, but it's actually the person you become in pursuit of getting that money. It's the character skills that you develop. It's, the person that you become and the people that you serve. So that had me dive into starting my podcast called Light Up Your Life, where we interview so many incredible guests. And everything kind of just transformed from there. And I saw that there was a really big need in women's empowerment to help women step into their true divine power. And so that's when I started our Queens of Light community too. So that's kind of where I am right now with my business and how it's evolved.
I think that is really nice and a very crisp intro that you have given us. You have tell us the brief, like how from having a fear of public speaking, you turn it out into one of your skills, and now you are doing interviews and podcasts with people, and that is the main skill that is required there is speaking only, right? So can you just enlighten us on the same, like this public speaking fear is like in every next person, right? Like among us as well, right? I also had this problem. So can you just enlighten us like how you overcome this? Like you mentioned, one thing is to do public speaking more in order to get over it, right?
Mhm.
Get over the fear, right? So if you could
Yeah.
just share your perspective of it.
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's practicing, right? Even before you're ready, I was creating speeches and I was looking at myself in the mirror, practicing them, rehearsing them. I like to write a lot of things down. So anytime that I wanted to clarify something that I would say, I would write it down and I would speak it aloud. And so it's just repetition. It's like going to the gym. If you want to build muscle, you need to go consistently every single day. And it's putting yourself in those uncomfortable situations. And then after I was invited to speak on the news. This was probably 2 years ago, and I was so terrified. And after it, I did such an incredible job. And I also think it's important to visualize yourself doing an incredible job speaking. So I would visualize myself after the entire event, or for example, when I was on the news, it going incredibly well, people reaching out to me, congratulating me, saying you did such an awesome job. And so it's really rehearsing your mind as well. And something that's helped me is to know that you essentially create your reality even before you're living it. So in your mind, you can create the scenario that you want because your mind is so powerful. It doesn't know the difference between if you're imagining it or reality. So I would close my eyes and I would visualize myself doing an incredible job even before it happens. And my mind was so used to seeing that that's when it happens in reality. So I think your mindset is very important too. And then putting in the repetitions and just stepping out of your comfort zone.
I think yeah, these are really good points that you mentioned. And do you still get nervous when you go to the public speaking, or it's like an hour day-to-day task for you?
No, I actually still get nervous, but I remember interviewing someone who does speaking engagements all around the world, and he said, Samantha, if you're nervous, it means that you care. So, yes, of course, I'm getting nervous, but then I also use the perspective of it's not even about me, it's about the people that I'm serving in my community and what value they are going to gain by listening to what I have to say to empower them. So, I try to flip the script and make it less about me and more about how I'm serving my audience and just knowing that we're all human, we all make mistakes, and you just have to keep showing up for you. So I do still get a little nervous, but it's more an excitement now.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on this point. And coming to your next thing, like that the podcast one, right? So can you just enlighten us on the journey of being a host at the podcast, like how you started it and what's the main motive behind it?
Yeah, so I would say the main motive behind it was I never had a lot of people that I could look up to in my home life. I grew up in a really toxic environment, so I had to, read books. I had to go to networking events and these empowerment events to meet people where I wanted to be because I ultimately want to be the person in my life that changes generations to come and get rid of all of the toxic behavior and just generational trauma that my family experienced. And so going to these networking events, meeting these people, cultivating their relationships, I'm like, wow, they have so much that they've taught me and I've implemented in my life. And so essentially a platform where we're giving back and we're giving our community the tools, the skills, the success habits that our guests have implemented and it's worked in their life. So that was kind of the start of it. We wanted to give back. And then also, just like we mentioned before, if you're afraid of something, public speaking, the only way that you're going to get better is by practicing. And I'm sure with your podcast as well, you've changed completely. You probably see the transformation from when you first started to where you are now and your ability to be able to listen and to connect with your audience. So, yeah, it was definitely bred from wanting to serve and to give back. So,
Yeah. And like how you started it, if I ask, like, what was the main point of inception and how do you reach out to the people? Because when I started, the main point or the main problem statement that I had was how to make people trust that it will be worthy for them to come to the podcast, right? And I know that same issue must you have faced as well, right? So how did you overcome this one, this challenge?
yeah, so I feel like we just started so messy. I had no idea how to do a podcast. So it was a bunch of researching. It was figuring out what questions to ask, the different backgrounds we would use. But as far as relationship building, I think network marketing really helped me because it kind of dissipated my fear of actually reaching out to someone. So for me, it's connecting with people at different empowerment events that I go to. So it's definitely cultivating that community, and then also cold outreaching too. I send video messages, kind of like how you outreach to me, and I explain a little bit about the podcast, and then we send them to our administrative assistant. And then if they have any more questions, we have an entire packet that talks about our podcast, what guests we've had on, the reach that we're able to make. And so it just kind of cultivated, right? You just have to dive in, you have to go for it, and then you learn along the way. Our video quality was horrible when we first started, and so it's little things that you learn along the way. But I would just say for anyone listening to this, if you want to start a podcast, just go for it, and you're going to learn so many valuable skills and tools along the way.
Yeah, I think that's the main point. Like keep learning with every new step that you're going to take, right?
Exactly. Yes.
And now coming to the challenges that you have faced till now, like either it's from personal life or from professional life, can you just share with us like what were the biggest challenges that you have faced till now?
Oh man. So I've experienced so many challenges in my life. I would say the biggest one is self-doubt and not feeling worthy or good enough because of the environment that I was brought up in. My father was an alcoholic. He was very toxic, and my mother was just really passive. So I didn't see a caring, loving, supporting relationship growing up. And so I had to unlearn all of those things when I was in my 20s to realize that I don't have to believe those things that was my parents would project on me. And I don't have to live the way they live. And so it was really retraining my mind to have a belief system and have self-confidence to know that I can do, be, or have anything I want in my life. And it's just learning from people who have what you want. And so I think that was the biggest thing for me, rewiring my subconscious beliefs to know that I can have what I truly desire. And then I just think also it's facing your fears head on. And your fears, I think if you're not experiencing challenges, you're not growing at all, right? If you're staying stagnant, you're staying in your comfort zone, you don't have many problems. And the more success that you gain, the more problems, bigger problems you're going to have to solve. But that just makes you more valuable, the wisdom that you hold, and you're able to help more people. So I would definitely say for me, it was really mindset, and then stepping into my fears and just going face first, head forth into the experiences and challenge that I do face today.
Yeah, I think the first point that you mentioned, like having a toxic childhood and trying to overcome that, this is one of the very common problem that people faces till now, right? So if I ask you, like, suppose someone is watching it and they are in the same situation as you were, right? So what is the main advice that you like to give to them?
Yeah, I think the main advice would be you don't have to be defined by the circumstances and what you went through. You can absolutely change your life. It's knowing that you want more for yourself. It's knowing that you don't have to live the same life, and you could take steps and you can meet new people and you can learn new information that's ultimately going to get you to where you want to be. So I would use your past as, a starting point and learning from all of the mistakes and the things that you went through, but knowing that you can become anything that you want and it's going to take a lot of time. It's not easy. It's taken me years and years to get to the point to where I am now. But I will tell you, it's absolutely worth it. The person that I am and who I was before, I'm honestly so proud of myself. And it just gives you so much compassion. It gives you so much insight to know that, you can do anything that you want. And I think it's a feeling of, you have complete control over your reality, and knowing that your outside circumstances or people don't define you. You can create it however you want. You can create a life by design. So I think a lot of people in society teach you that you have to be a certain way, you have to think a certain way, but you can create your own life. So that's something that is advice I would share with your audience.
Yeah, I think that's really great. And talking about your journey till now, is there any story that you think should be heard by the people? or if any story that you like to share with us?
Um, Yeah, I think one story that really, really inspired me. So, one of my mentors is Ed Mylett. He wrote The Power of One More. He's the number one speaker by USA Today in the entire world. And I really connect with his past and what he went through. And I saw this was probably 3 years ago at this point. I saw him post on his story that he's going to be doing a TV show and he's looking for people who have an incredible story, who went through a lot of challenges and how he can help. So I kept getting this nudge that I need to apply, I need to apply. And I ended up applying and I ended up getting on his show. And it was just so surreal because I look up to this man so much. He's taught me a lot. And so to be sitting right next to him on camera for the entire world to see, for millions of viewers to see. I think it was just such a surreal moment for me. So the story for your audience is, if you feel like you should be doing something, go for it because you never can know the outcome. And I think a lot of the reason why I was chosen was because I had no resistance. I knew that he was going to choose me. I knew that my story is going to make a huge impact on people listening. So when you have no resistance to anything, you know it's going to happen with such certainty. That's really going to help you move forward too. So that story I always love to share because it was something that, it was an amazing experience for me. And I think it helped push and propel me to know that, okay, I am on the right path. I am, having these things work out for me because I know I truly deserve them. So that was something I always like to share.
It's really great. And which show was this, and who was the person?
Yeah, so it's called Ed Mylett Change. So he had I think there was 10 interviews and it's interesting because backstage my father was there. I wanted to help Ed cultivate that relationship and then last minute 5 minutes before we were going on air they pulled him off stage. Well, he wasn't on stage, but they didn't have him go on and they completely kind of changed the storyline of why I was there. So I thought that was really interesting. But yes, it's called Ed Mylett Change, and it was on NBC, I think.
Yeah,
CBS or NBC. Yeah.
that's really nice. And
Mhm.
talking about the network marketing that you shared with us, right? Like you told us the importance of network marketing, right? So if anyone who wants to use this path, right, of network marketing, because somehow like in the world where now half of the world is working online and there is also offline as well, right? So how do you manage to have relations with or networking with the people from overseas or say who are not near your city? So how do you try to like maintain that relation with them?
Yeah, so I think Zoom is so important. I do I'm kind of getting away from network marketing. I still have my team. They're running on the back end. I still have customers. That's kind of all systematized. But when I was really diving into network marketing, I would hold calls twice per week. So we would do Zoom calls. We would get to know each other. I would bring on guest speakers to teach them a specific skill. So it was a lot online. It was doing one-on-one calls through Zoom or through phone calls. And then we would have text messaging groups on WhatsApp. So my entire team would be in that one chat and we would just communicate through there. So we definitely utilize a lot of technology, but then would also do in-person events for people who were here in the United States where we would meet up. And so, yeah, I think we utilized a little of both. So yeah, technology is definitely a game changer, especially if you have a team that's, in Australia or in
Mhm.
other parts of the world.
Right. And how important is it to monetize the thing that you are doing? For example, podcast, right? Because sometimes people do it out of as a part of their networking, right? And sometimes people think it as career itself, right? So
Yeah.
where are you standing right now? Like, are you seeing it as a career or it's like a part of a community work that you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little of both. I think when you get to a certain point and you have so many people outreaching, like we're very blessed and we have at least 20 to 30 people per week reaching out to us wanting to be on the podcast. So we had to your point, we had to systematize it. So, our admin will send them a link and they will choose their package of what they want because, as you know, it takes a lot of time to edit the podcast, the technology that you need to use, and time is money. And so yeah, at the point where we're at now is we're charging people to be able to come on the podcast just because of all the money that we had to pour into it. And so for us, we're definitely expanding it into a career and being able to help people and growing our brand. Like I mentioned, we're doing the women's empowerment group too. So I feel like, there was a point where we were outreaching to these people, and we're still outreaching to the people that we really really want on the show because we know that they can add so much value. But I think when you get to a certain point, you realize, like, okay, this is a business and I need to run it as a business. It's just not a passion project. So I think for anyone listening to this, it's really your vision for what you want your podcast to look like.
Correct. And if I ask you about your dream right now, so what's your dream, or I can ask you like what's next for you?
Yeah, so what's next for me is just growing my women's empowerment community, traveling around the world. I'm going down to Fort Lauderdale in Florida at the beginning of June to do to speak on stage. So it's more just letting the world know my story, knowing that you don't have to be defined by your past, and stepping into the person that I knew I could always become. And so giving back to the community, especially with my women's empowerment group, and then just traveling the world, sharing my story and continuing with the podcast. And one of my visions too is to have a bunch of podcast studios around the United States. And maybe we can expand further, but that's definitely something that's in my 10-year plan of what I want to do as well.
That's really great, and we wish you a lot of success on the same path.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, Samantha. I think it was really a great episode for me as well. I've learned a lot from your experience, and wish you a lot of success. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. I was so excited to be here.
Thank you.